And good evening. What's going on? Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Will Johnson. My website is uniteamericafirst.com. Make sure you go there, support me, please. I need your support. I really do. I need your support. You know, the way to coming. That's the only reason why I'm asking. If they would just leave me alone and let me do my job, which is Ephesians 5:11. But I guess that's the reason why they come at me, because my job is Ephesians 5:11. I encourage you to go look it up. Ephesians 5:11. That is Will Johnson's job. That's what God put me on the planet for. And I'm going to continue to do my job. I need your support to do the job that God put me here to do. Do me a favor. Share this video. Please share this video. If you haven't already, please share this video. All right, let's just get right into it. You remember when Afghanistan, when President Trump was there, he said, we're going to put our troops out of Afghanistan, but President Trump wanted to do it the right way. Joe Biden just pulled it out and made it look really bad. Afghanistan was a total flop. We lost 13 military personnel, 13 Americans, 13 of them. And remember, Joe Biden was like, you know what? I got somewhere to be. I have somewhere to be. Remember that when they were bringing the caskets out? Total disrespect. Still doesn't care. Well, apparently it could have been avoided, right? Allegedly, it could have been avoided. Well, listen to this young man as he talks about what happened that day. Many of you probably have already seen this, but for those of you that have not seen this, listen to what he says that happened that day, the 13 soldiers that died. The Biden administration, Joe Biden, the blood of these military personnel are on his hands. Listen to this.
On August 22nd, an improvised explosive device, IED, probe took place down the canal running along the perimeter of Kaya. This was ISIS or the Taliban performing an IED test run. We reported this to our chain of command. Days later, we received word to be on the lookout for two vehicle-borne IEDs, described as a gold or white Corolla and a green Mazda convertible. Around 2 a.m. on August 26th, Intel guys confirmed the suicide bomber in the vicinity of and nearing Abbey Gate, described as clean-shaven, brown-dressed, black vest, and traveling with an older companion. I asked the Intel guys why he wasn't apprehended sooner, since we had a full description. I was told the asset could not be compromised. Throughout the entirety of the day on August 26, 2021, we disseminated the suicide bomber information to ground forces at Abbey Gate. He was spotted somewhere from noon to 1 p.m. by myself, then Sergeant Charles Schilling, and another. The anomaly in the crowd, who was clean-shaven and fit the description exactly, traveling with an older gentleman. The individual was consistently and nervously looking up at our position through the crowd. The older of the two wore a black silky hijab that was covering his face most of the time. They both had obvious mannerisms that go along with who we believed him to be. They handed out small cards to the crowd periodically, and the older man sat calmly and seemingly coached the bomber. Over the communication network, we passed that there was a potential threat and an IED attack imminent. This was as serious as it could get. I requested engagement authority while my team leader was ready on the M110 semi-automatic sniper system. The response, leadership did not have the engagement authority for us. Do not engage. I requested for the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel Brad Whited, to come to the tower to see what we did. While we waited for him, psychological operations individuals came to our tower immediately and confirmed the suspect met the suicide bomber description. He eventually arrived and we showed him our evidence, the photos we had of the two men. We reassured him of the ease of fire on the suicide bomber. Pointedly, we asked him for engagement authority and permission. We asked him if we could shoot. Our battalion commander said, and I quote, "I don't know," end quote. Myself and my team leader asked very harshly, well, who does? Because this is your responsibility, sir. He again replied he did not know, but would find out. We received no update and never got our answer. Eventually, the individual disappeared. To this day, we believe he was a suicide bomber. We made everyone on the ground aware. Operations had briefly halted, but then started again. Plain and simple, we were ignored.
Why were they ignored? Why were they ignored? So from what I'm gathering here is that it could have been prevented, that these 13 Americans that were killed could have been prevented. But the Biden administration, along with the Democrats, they didn't want to prevent it. Why in the world do we have a woke military when this is what happens to military personnel? It's a legit question. I don't understand it. Do you understand it? And I've talked to some people that were still military active duty and they're woke. I don't get it. Look at General Milley. As woke as you can get. I guess the wokeism just trickles down.
Our expertise was disregarded. No one was held accountable for our safety. About 1730, Staff Sergeant Darren Hoover, friend and mentor, came to get me from the tower to go help find an Afghan interpreter in the crowd. We found the interpreter and his brother, born with American passports. They told us of 5 family members still in the canal. I stayed there waiting for the family members standing against a 2-foot canal wall. 10 minutes passed. Then a flash and a massive wave of pressure. I'm thrown 12 feet onto the ground, but instantly knew what had happened. I opened my eyes to Marines dead or unconscious, lying around me.
I'm gonna have to be honest with you about something. I watched majority of this video, but I didn't get to this part. This is so disgusting. You have someone in the White House that could have prevented our military personnel from dying. Americans could have prevented it, but didn't do it. And then remember, he was like this, like, I got somewhere to be. After he caused their deaths, I have somewhere to be. When are these people? It's not even when. The left, they don't like America. They hate our country. And these people are among us. The enemy is among us. The enemy wants to destroy our country. The enemy hates the whole idea of making America great. The enemy is here. The enemy we don't need to look external for the people that want to destroy our country. They're already here. They're already here.
A crowd of hundreds immediately vanished in front of me, and my body was catastrophically wounded with 100 to 150 ball bearings now in it. Almost immediately, we started taking fire from the neighborhood, and I saw how injured I was with my right arm, completely shredded and unusable. I saw my lower abdomen soaked in blood. I crawled backwards roughly 7 feet because I thought I was still in harm's way. My body was overwhelmed from the trauma of the blast. My abdomen had been ripped open, every inch of my exposed body, except for my face, to ball bearings and shrapnel. I tried to get up, but could not. Laying there for a few minutes, I started to lose consciousness when I heard Chaz, my team leader, screaming my name as he ran to me. His voice calling to me kept me awake.
And the left, they don't care. Show me one leftist that cares. His tears are real. These are not like Adam Kissinger tears, where he's just all fake. His story should have never happened. They had the opportunity to prevent it from happening. Just like we have the opportunity to prevent all this other insane, stupid stuff that's happening in our country, but they don't want to prevent it. They do not want to prevent it. Why not? What is wrong with these people? It's a demonic spirit that has taken over the minds of these people. That's the only explanation. No one in their right mind would be okay with this. And none of the Democrats care. None of the progressives, the socialists, communists, leftists, not a single one of them care. Because if they did, they would try to do something to prevent this from ever happening again. They would try to protect us on our border. They're not doing that. They're doing just the opposite. Prove me wrong. I would be happy. I would welcome the Democrats to start going, you know what? We've got to stop this. We got to stop the censorship on free speech. We got to stop the attacks. We got to stop all this racial division, because all of this is created by those on the left. But they're not going to do that because they've weaponized it. They've weaponized it against all of us.
When he got to me, he dragged me to safety and immediately started triaging me, tying tourniquets on my limbs and doing anything he could to stop the bleeding and start plugging wounds with the help of the other Marines. I was awake through most of it, screaming, moaning, and cursing. I ask you to please ask me about getting shot at the tower in Abbey Gate and how no one wanted my report post-blast. Even NCIS and the FBI failed to interview me. Asked me to elaborate on my ordeal post-blast, and asked me about this one little girl and her family that I reunited. Our military members and veterans deserve our best because that is what we give to America. The withdrawal was a catastrophe, in my opinion, and there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence. The 11 Marines, 1 sailor, and 1 soldier that were murdered that day have not been answered for. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Have not been answered for. Why not? To this day. You know why? Because they have more woke issues to think about. They have more woke issues to concentrate on. They can't concentrate on actual issues that's affecting the American people. They don't want to concentrate on actual things that affected the military personnel. They have woke issues. And I have some of those woke issues that I'm going to share with you. I do. I have one in particular that I want to share with you. But before I get to that, I want to share this with you. This was from today, the hearing that they had today about the Twitter files, about Elon Musk releasing the Twitter files, and have the 2 journalists go and speak before Congress about the information that they've been releasing on Twitter. And of course, the left are all upset because they're releasing this information, exposing them. And instead of the Democrats going, you know what, the censorship should have never taken place. What can we do to prevent it from happening again? What can we do to tell the big tech companies, look, these are the American people. We are here to represent the American people. We're going to make sure that they have a voice. Why are the Democrats not doing that? Someone please help me understand. Why are the Democrats not saying we were elected to represent the American people? We are here to make sure that the American people have a voice. They don't do that. They jump in as lawyers, defense lawyers for criminals and for criminal activity. They're protecting those that have violated the U.S. Constitution. That's what they've been doing, and that's what they are doing. Listen to this lady as she's asking the 2 journalists, and one his name is Talib, if I'm pronouncing his name correct. Yeah, I butcher names all the time. Okay. But she's asking them, when did you first come in contact with Elon Musk? Basically, tell me, who is your actual source? So if they can say Elon Musk is their source, they can subpoena Elon Musk, because that's what they want to do. The Democrats want Elon Musk to come sit there and answer questions. All he did was purchase the company and say, hey, he probably, he didn't have to. He could just say, here's the company. Let my people run it. Let somebody leak it for me. But listen to this.
In exchange for the opportunity to cover a unique and explosive story, I had to agree to certain conditions. What were those conditions? She asked you that question and you said you had none, but you yourself posted that you had conditions.
No, the conditions, as I've explained multiple times.
No, sir, you've not explained. You told her in response to her question that you had no conditions. In fact, you kind of used the word license, that you were free to look at all of them, all 100,000 emails.
The question was posed, was I free to write about?
Sir, did you have any conditions?
The condition was that we published on
Sir, did you
Twitter.
have any conditions, yes or no?
She doesn't want to hear the answer. He's telling her, but she's trying to paint a narrative. That's all she's trying to do. She's trying to paint a narrative here, and he's trying to answer the question, but she doesn't want to hear it.
Simple question.
Yes.
All right. Could you tell us what conditions those were?
The conditions were an attribution, sources at Twitter, and that we break any news on Twitter.
But you didn't break it on Twitter. Did you send the file that you released today to Twitter first?
But they did break it on Twitter. That was the whole point. All of these documents were released on Twitter. There was no secret. And Elon, and you know what? That was the I guess the prerequisite or the stipulations that you get these docs, you release them on Twitter, and then the rest of the world can get them. It doesn't matter where they go after that point, because on Twitter, it becomes public domain.
Did I send the?
Sir,
Actually, I did. Yes.
Today.
Yeah.
Did you send it to Twitter first?
The Twitter
That was
files
one of the
thread?
conditions? Yes or no, sir?
The Twitter files thread actually did come out first.
But, sir, you said earlier that you had to attribute all the sources to Twitter first. What you released today, did you send that to Twitter first?
No. I posted it on Twitter.
First, sir. Or did you give it to the ranking member, to the chairman of the committee or the staff of the committee first?
Well, that's not breaking the story. That's giving. Yes, I did give.
So you gave all the information that you did not give to the Democrats. You gave it to the Republicans first. Then you put it on Twitter?
No. Are all of them this ignorant? We all saw it. I saw it on Twitter. We all saw it on Twitter. Anyone who's on Twitter who cared to go look, they publicized this stuff on Twitter for the entire world to see. Now, when they show it up there, maybe, the ranking leader of the committee, Jim Jordan, maybe he asked for certain documents so we can share. Maybe he asked for them and he gave the documents to them. Right? Isn't that how it worked? She wanted the Democrats to get the documents first so they can shuffle through them and then say, this is what you can talk about and this is what you cannot talk about. That's what this come about. They want to do censorship on Capitol Hill.
Actually, no, the chronology is a little bit confused.
Well, then
it's more or
tell
less
us
the
what the
same
chronology
time.
was.
I believe the thread came out first.
Where?
On Twitter.
On Twitter. So then you afterwards gave it to the Republicans and not the Democrats?
Yes, because I'm submitting it for the record as my statement.
Did you give it to them in advance?
I gave it to them today.
You gave it to them today, but you still have not given anything to the Democrats.
You haven't given anything to the Democrats. Why would you give them to the Democrats? Because they're going to disregard it. They're going to say it's not real. They want to say it's misinformation, disinformation about anything that's factual about it. They could care less. Again, the whole point of them wanting to do this is try to get it to where say, well, Elon Musk has an agenda here. So they can try to get Elon Musk. I'm pretty sure the Republicans wouldn't mind talking to Elon Musk, but all Elon Musk could have to say is like, look, I just purchased the company and this is what they left behind.
I wanted to ask Mr. Schellenberger the same question, sir. When did you first visit with or get contacted by Mr. Musk?
I'm not going to reveal my sources, but like I said, I was invited by Barry Weiss. And
I'm not asking for sources, sir. I'm just asking for chronology. When did you first make contact with Mr. Musk?
Well, she's actually wanting sources. I mean, come on. And she's trying to act like she doesn't, but that's what they want.
I don't know the exact date.
Was it?
It was December. It was December.
December of, well, there's a lot of Decembers in history.
December of last year.
Which December?
December of last year, ma'am.
Last year, the 22?
I mean, how many Decembers in last year? Right? She's talking about there's a whole bunch of Decembers. So how many Decembers are in the year 2022? And she has to ask the question, December of 2022? He said the December of last year. How many last years are there? Now they have previous years, but how many last years are there? There's just one last year. How many Decembers were there last year? Just one. See, this is such a show. This is such a show. I wish, see, this is why they probably never had me on anything like this. Cause I'm like, I got words already.
Yes.
All right. Now in your discussion, in your answer, you also said that you were invited by a friend, Barry Weiss.
My friend, Barry Weiss.
So this friend works for Twitter, or what is her?
She's a journalist.
Sir, I didn't ask you a question. I'm now asking Mr. Schellenberger a question.
Wait a minute. I mean, wait a minute. Isn't that what she was just doing? She was just asking what?
So this friend works for Twitter, or what is her?
What is her what? What is her role? What is what? And he says she's a journalist. Because she's asking, what is her role? What is she doing? I mean, again, this is nothing but can I say this, S show? The S word, S show? A sham show? All this is a sham show.
Invited by a friend, Barry Weiss?
My friend, Barry Weiss.
So this friend works for Twitter, or what is her?
She's a journalist.
Sir, I didn't ask you a question. I'm now asking Mr. Schellenberger a question. Please
Yes,
do
ma'am.
not
Barry Weiss is
interrupt.
a journalist.
I'm sorry, sir.
She's a journalist.
She's a journalist. So you work in concert with her?
Yeah.
Do you know when she first was contacted by Mr. Musk?
I don't know.
You don't know. So you're in this as a threesome?
Did y'all hear that? Now look at the expression on his face. I mean, wow. Did y'all catch that? This is a congresswoman. Talking about pettiness. Listen to this congresswoman. Listen to what she said. Listen.
I don't know.
You don't know. So you're in this as a threesome?
And you hear the people in the background laughing. I mean, come on. This is a sham show. And this, by the Democrats, it's a sham show. That's all it is on the behalf of the Democrats. Now, the Republicans, Jim Jordan, they're all trying to get to the truth. They don't care about the truth. The Democrats do not care about the truth.
There was many more people involved than that.
So maybe it's an orgy then. Because it wasn't a threesome, it was more, right?
There was many more people involved with that. Are you being paid to be here today, either through consulting fees,
No,
campaign contribution to your
absolutely
next
not.
run?
Gentlelady's
Absolutely
time
You
is
have an interview
gentlelady's
scheduled after
time
this
is
hearing?
expired.
Absolutely not.
Gentlelady's time is
And so now she's fishing, right? They're fishing, trying to make it look like they're just paid to be there, trying to find something. Now, y'all know who this lady is, right? I mean, oh my goodness. This is one of the most despicable women on Capitol Hill. She's completely, totally despicable. Listen to this interaction. I'm just going to do this one here. You know what? Yeah, I'm just going to do this one here, and then I'm going to move on. Okay? Because it's crazy. You need to hear this, because this is them hindering our First Amendment rights. And again, the Democrats, not a single Democrat, are saying we should be fighting for the American people to have freedom of speech. They appointed us here to fight for them, but they're not doing that. They're wanting to get rid of the U.S. Constitution. They don't care about the U.S. Constitution, like I've said multiple times.
Journalists should avoid accepting spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion. Would you agree with that?
I think it depends.
Really? You wouldn't agree that a journalist should avoid spoon-fed, cherry-picked information if it's likely to be slanted, incomplete, or designed to reach a foregone, easily disputed, or invalid conclusion?
Congresswoman, I've done probably a dozen stories involving whistleblowers. Every reported story that I've ever done across 3 decades involves sources who have motives. Every time you do a story, you're making a balancing test.
Okay.
Between the public
reclaiming my
interest.
time. Thank you very much.
I mean, she doesn't want to hear the answer. Reclaiming my time. They did quite a bit of that.
I ask you this because before you became Elon Musk's hand-picked journalist, and pardon the oxymoron, you stated this on Joe Rogan's podcast about being spoon-fed information, and I quote, "I think that's true of any kind of journalism," and you'll see it behind me here. "I think that's true of any kind of journalism. Once you start getting handed things, then you've lost. They have you at that point, and you got to get out of that habit. You just can't cross that line." Do you still believe what you told Mr. Rogan? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please.
You know, and he says no, and she my time.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Now, you crossed that line with the Twitter files.
No.
Elon Musk, it's my time. Please do not interrupt me. Elon Musk spoon-fed you his cherry-picked information, which you must have suspected promotes a slanted viewpoint, or at the very least generates another right-wing conspiracy theory. You violated your own standard, and you appear to have benefited from it. Before the release of the emails in August of last year, you had 661,000 Twitter followers.
I mean, of course she's going to gain Twitter followers. This is the most asinine thing ever. Now, let me share something else with you. And I'm going to stop it there because I can't stand looking at her. Let me share this one with you here. Now, this one here, because she's targeting him like he's a Republican. All the Democrats were targeting both of them as if they were Republicans. Listen to Jim Jordan asking them, are they Republicans and who they voted for?
But the truth is we want to focus on protecting the First Amendment. Mr. Schellenberger, are you a Republican?
No, I'm not.
You got any, pro-Trump bumper stickers on your car?
I voted for Biden.
He voted for Biden.
Voted for Biden. You know how many MAGA hats laying around your house, right?
I do not.
Yeah.
I mean, really? And they're doing all these attacks on them, right? They voted for Joe Biden. And you know what? So this is hope. There's hope for those on the left still. See, I used to be on the left, but I didn't have this insane stupidity, demonic thinking that the left has now. See, I was thinking that the left was different, but they're not. But they voted for Joe Biden. And most of these ignorant people out there that voted for Joe Biden they thought, Joe Biden was the greatest. And some of them still think Joe Biden is the greatest. And a lot of them will cover up information to help out the Biden crime family. Or, how I always say, demons protect demons. But they are Democrats, voted for Joe Biden, and they're exposing the truth. There's still hope.
Yeah, but you said earlier, both you and Mr. Taibbi said this is the most chilling thing you have ever seen as journalists. Mr. Taibbi, the same thing. You're not a Republican either, right?
No, I'm not.
You didn't vote for. This is about protecting the First Amendment. Mr. Taibbi, I want to read from your Twitter file number 9. You say this: after weeks of Twitter files, the Bureau issued a statement Wednesday, referring to the FBI. Here's what the FBI said: it is unfortunate that conspiracy theorists and others are feeding the American public misinformation with the sole purpose of attempting to discredit the agency. You then follow up, this is why I think you're an award-winning author, you then follow up, they must think we're unambitious if our sole aim is to discredit the FBI. After all, a whole range of government agencies discredit themselves in the Twitter files. And then you go on to, in this particular Twitter file, to talk about what Mr. Bishop was just talking about, the GEC at the State Department. You talk about the CIA. You talk about the DOD. You talk about the FBI. You talk about the DHS. You talk about the Foreign Intelligence Task Force, which is a combination of all these. But there was one agency you didn't mention because you didn't know at the time. One agency, you got almost the whole alphabet, but you didn't mention one agency, the FTC.
The FTC. I did a video earlier and it was just only on Facebook. It was early this morning, right before I went and worked out. And I did a video talking about weaponization. And I mean, let me ask you right now, for everyone that's willing to participate in my question here, can you tell me one thing that the left has not weaponized? Just one. And some of y'all may have seen that video earlier today, but I'm just asking one. Just give me one. One thing that the left has not weaponized against the American people, against the people on the planet. Just one thing. One. What have they not weaponized? Think about it. They used the FBI, they weaponized the FBI against American people, which we're all aware of. They went after parents because parents want to protect their children. Weaponized. They weaponize our southern border. They won't close the border. It's killing Americans. What do weaponizing something? Sometimes it ends in the results of killing people. They weaponize our southern border against us, right? They actually weaponized it when President Trump was in office, trying to say it was racist. They weaponized the energy in the country. They weaponized it, right? Saying that you don't need to have. Recently they weaponized the gas, natural gas. If you have a gas stove, oh my goodness, they weaponized it. And they said the reason why you don't want gas stove because it's causing problems, health problems. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physician. I don't know what they're talking about because gas stoves has been around for how many years? Decades. But now all of a sudden it becomes a problem because they weaponized it. They weaponized color.
People of color.
They weaponized color against people. Right now, there's a humongous attack against white people because they've weaponized color. They said black people are oppressed. Black people can't succeed in anything because they've weaponized color. So I'm going to ask again, what have they not weaponized? I asked that question this morning. They weaponize jobs, businesses against the American people. If they find out, they weaponize politics. If they find out that you support President Trump and they find out where you worked at, they will go and try to get you fired. Or if you're at the job and they find out that you support President Trump, they'll fire you. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. They weaponized everything. They weaponized the sexualization of children. They weaponized the military. What have they not weaponized? And they weaponized the big tech against the American people. Do you understand what I'm saying here? And again, for those of you that are willing to participate and say, Will, no, you got it all wrong. You got it all wrong. Here's something that they have not weaponized. What is that? They've even weaponized the air we breathe. Do you know what I'm talking about? Without getting the whole algorithms and all that involved. What am I talking about? You know, it has something to do with the climate. They weaponized everything. There's not anything that they have not weaponized. All right, let me do this. All right. Hold on. All right, y'all know what time it is, right? Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. Okay, check this out. I need for you to go over here, connect with me over here, and actually YouTube. Oh my goodness! And I mentioned this last night. YouTube is the worst. YouTube is the worst. It is the worst. Sherry, thank you so much for the stars. I really do appreciate it. Rana, thank you so much for the stars. Ruby, Donna, Russell, thank you so much for the stars on Facebook. I really do appreciate it. Robert, Wayne, Scott, David, Ruby, Rita, David, thank you so much for sharing the video. Liz, Luz, if I'm saying it right, thank you so much for the stars. Thank you so much. God have mercy on us and protect us. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Shelly, thank you so much for the super chat on YouTube. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wonder if YouTube is upset because I'm like putting this on the screen here and I'm telling people where Will Johnson is going with afterwards. It's like they want to control what Will Johnson says and what Will Johnson shares, but then they want me to stay here, but they want to control it. They won't let my channel grow. They won't let anything happen on YouTube. It is bad. It is extremely bad. So again, go right there. And thank you to Search and Destroy for sharing the link on YouTube. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for actually putting the link for Buy Me a Coffee as well. Thank you so much for that. Search and Destroy on YouTube. So come on over. I do have some stuff I want to share with you that I can't share on these other platforms because I still do want to keep my accounts there, right? I mean, I do. I want to keep them, but I want to share stuff with you without being penalized. And I shouldn't be penalized for sharing the stuff. So come on over. I'm getting ready to do it right now. That's if you're interested. And thank you so much for sharing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for sharing if you haven't already. All right. I will see you over there. All right. Let's make sure